So a lot of work went into getting the fit and finish the way it is. I'm gonna open the hatch now and show you how that works out. Welcome back to another episode. If you guys may recall, we've been working on a slant back conversion, taking a soft top, outfitting it with a customer supplied slant back kit. Finally done, out of paint. Really excited the way this thing works out. I'm looking forward to getting it to the customer. He's been very patient, a great guy to work with all along. This is a Humvee kit that we then had to modify and manipulate to make it work with the H1 platform. The original company that fabricated the kit declined to do the work. You know, Josh has been phenomenal. You've seen his handiwork in the exoskeleton and some of the parts you'll see in production. The magic on this build is exactly that, the work that he put into the interior part of it. That DOM tubing is really what takes this installation way over the top. And as you may recall, we had the full DOM framework that we put in there that we then did send over to powder coat. And we're gonna get into that and show you that here shortly. The paint's been matched to a T. I think it looks phenomenal. This is something that's gonna be everlasting for years to come. We had some issues with the right sponson and alignment there. As you can tell, that's been flawless. We do add a seam sealer to the two components here. This is aluminum, so it's gonna play well together. Unlike the original slant back and the wagons, again, we're always striving to make that OEM finish in all the products that we do. Figuring out the gapping here, figuring out the alignment with the tailgate, and that will really explain how much work went into making this happen. So we have one of the sponsons up here. We've fit them before, kind of test fitting them. I want to show you guys the profile, what we're gonna see in the final product. There are a few things we need to work with on that, but let's go ahead and throw it up there so everyone can see, or just put in fitment.
So, like Paul mentioned, there are a few concerns. As you probably see up here, the side profile doesn't quite line up as it should. There is a bit of a gap and a little bit of an issue back here with the tailgate contacting the bottom of the sponson. A few issues we'll have to work through, but nothing we can't handle.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll try and pair it all together like instructions say. The whole kit be built, both sponsons and the hatch. But again, I have to think there's some issue with the tailgate. That's going to hit. Might be something where we have to create plan B on this type of approach. See if we can't fix this area here. But that'll be covered in upcoming episodes as we touch this more. I don't think you even play with this until you get the B and C pillar that integrated, correct?
We'll probably get it together just to do a little bit of a mock-up so we can see where everything lines up. But really the important stuff first is the B and C pillars, because this doesn't affect that too much.
Yeah, I think safety first on every situation. Make sure passenger operator is safe, and then we can work on, because this is really an accessory. The soft top or the slant back is an accessory part to it. This obviously has a structural part of it all. So no, all in all, good kit. A few tweaks here and there. As you saw, a ton of work went into that. Hats off to Josh, he killed it, making this thing line up the way it would if it was on OEM. The lines are dialed in, the spacing's the same. I like that. I'm very attention to detail oriented, and this is where he really knocked it out of the park. Since I'm back here, I want to briefly talk about the windows. The factory slant back, as you guys may have seen, I've seen some comments throughout the episodes, the blind spots on the factory slant back. This option here that they had with the windows in the back is a great fit. So hats off to the designers there. That was a good part of it. So the windows are not only a perk, obviously, for the blind spots, they added a ton of rigidity to the rear hatch. If you might have seen in some of the old content, it was slightly flimsy just with that aluminum back hatch itself. So stoked the way it worked out. The fit and finish, the way it flows is quite nice. Let's cut back to some old footage so you guys can really see the process, the work that went into making this rear hatch work.
All right, now that we're back here with the slant back, you can see it's nice and tight and snug on the truck. I think personally, it looks great. The biggest thing the customer was wanting was the look of the slant back. This was a bit of a headache to install, kind of had to struggle the whole way through. The pieces didn't quite fit right, but we managed to get it on the truck. I think it's got some great functionality to it. You still have a very large window up here. It opens and closes nice and smoothly. And I personally think it looks great. As you can see, it does not have the windows in yet. That'll be going in after the truck comes back from paint. But overall, I think the truck looks great so far.
As you saw, a lot of work went into getting the fit and finish the way it is. I'm gonna open the hatch now and show you how that works out. Nice, smooth flow. You can't deny, I love this angle, this view. The slant back really is a neat finish. That's the outside, the outer shell. That was just the parts that were brought to us. The real magic, the detail work behind this build was all the time, weeks and months spent on the cage, the interior work. Let's cut to some of that footage. You're talking about the DOM tubing versus the original factory seam welded tubing with the DOM that we used for that B-pillar.
I just want to give a little bit of an explanation as to why we do it and the differences in the materials, because we've mentioned the welded material and the DOM material quite a few times throughout a lot of these vlogs. So right here we've got some of the welded tube. Yes, it's not the same size, but you still get the idea. As you can see, if you want to bring it in here a little closer, Jason, we've got this blue seam right here, all the way down the entire tube. Now, through the manufacturing process, it's one piece that's rolled and then welded right there, which in a roll cage or roll pillars or anything like this that we've got, that can actually be a massive failure point. Any amounts of pressure on this tube can cause the tube to split, making it very weak. So the upside to DOM is you do not have that seam anywhere on here. It's all one solid piece. You don't get that failure point like you would with the welded tube. So that is why, like you had seen on the exoskeleton truck and you're seeing here, we're using DOM as opposed to the welded because it is significantly stronger, and our biggest thing here, safety first. So I just want to give you guys a quick little explanation on that and show you the differences.
So we utilize that DOM throughout the whole build on these downward supports here all the way across the interior cage. I want to get into that eventually, but right now I want to touch on this component here where we had a choice to use the factory one or reproduce this. As you can tell, it has a very true to factory finish. Let's cut back to that content now so you can see. So I want to touch on this a little bit to clarify what I was mentioning earlier about the recreated panel that we're going to utilize. You know, we could have just cut this bar, remove the seatbelt brace, because that's going to be relocated to our seat panel. But instead, utilizing the tools we have here, again, I've said it many times, love the fact we have our fab team, guys like Josh, have the tooling that we have that we can start to recreate and improve product from AM General. So this is the panel that we're going to make. The DOM is going to weld off of that. We're going to match similar angles because the customer wanted to retain as much as he could of the look of the interior of a soft top, just get the benefits of that slant back. You want to go ahead and throw that up so they can kind of really visualize?
So the slant back will still be able to bolt down flat onto the fender of the truck without the soft top bent channel being in the way at all. And we will be running the tube down through here, and it'll land right about the same place. It'll look very, very close to what the factory C-pillar looks like.
Now that in the back here, it gives us a chance to really see the final product on all the hard work that went into making this bracket, all the in-house work that was involved in getting this seatbelt system to function correctly. We could have utilized the factory bracket back here from the soft top and just cut and welded our DOM on there. We went ahead and designed it very similar to the factory lines, except for this addition here, allowing us to have full function of that seatbelt. This is all one piece. This is all bolted into the truck. In essence, you could remove this and pull this cage out. Now that we're inside the vehicle, you can really tell and understand why the customer wanted to invest in doing this slant back kit. The interior has already been updated on this 99 soft top, original soft top, now slant back. Beautiful looking vehicle. The complementing it with this hard top is, it just took it over the top. Customer's going to work on his own and doing the sound deadening and the headliner for the slant back kit that we installed. Looking at the work that went into it, getting a fully functional dome light from factory, that was key. Trying to, again, stay true to form and Predator's reputation, holding up with the OEM style product, but slightly above that OEM, I personally feel. DOM tube, DOM, all across the board. The grab handles are in the close to factory position. Josh could have gone straight across and it made it a lot easier, but he did the brake here, hugging this bar up against the radius of the roof, which I think was well worth it in the design. You talked about that briefly in some of the other episodes. The way it integrated into the factory A-pillar, I think was a stellar fit. Again, it just screams factory. The customer may do a wrap on the interior cage at some point, but right now he's just eager to get it back. Let's look back at some old footage of Josh going through the process and laying out the design that he went with on this cage.
Right now we're looking at the drawing for the B and C pillars. So, not a whole lot going on yet, but as you can see, we do have the B pillar right here and the C pillar in the back. Basically, we've explained it before, but this program makes the production of these parts a lot easier and a lot smoother and a lot faster. After I get the parts laid out, I move them to another program, kind of like a sister program to this one, that allows me to cut the parts on the CNC tube cutter after loading the material. Marks the bends, cuts it out, I take it over the bender, and I can knock it out real quick. I'm working on a test piece for the B pillar of the hardtop conversion truck. Now the reason I'm doing a test piece is because this material, the HREW, is a lot cheaper than the DOM material. So in doing this, I can bend this up, make sure all the dimensions are correct, make sure all the bends are in the correct spot, and make sure it fits great, and then go ahead and bend the DOM. Because if I bend the DOM first and something's wrong and I have to recut it, then Ryan's not going to be too happy with me. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bend it. Now that we've got the roll bar off the truck, I wanted to go ahead and touch on a few little details as I continue to weld it up. First off, I think the biggest thing that you guys are going to notice is all this bracing that I've put in. Now I've put all of this in to really hold the shape of the roll bar as I weld it so we don't get any weird movement from the heat transferring through the tubes. Makes it quite a bit harder to put it back on the truck. We like to keep this as easy to put on the truck as possible. That way if us or the customer ever needs to remove it for whatever reason, should hopefully be a pretty quick, simple thing. Now that this is all one piece as opposed to the 6 or 7 pieces I believe the factory roll bars were, it is still bolts on, so we need to make sure that structure stays the same. Currently I'm welding up the inside right now, and then I'll flip it back over and weld up the rest of the outside of it. And I think Jason's gonna get some great video of that. So here we go.
This is the original piece that comes out, but I think it's like 6 pieces, right?
Yeah, it's about 6 pieces.
And they all bolt together to give you some type of structure, but it's really not that safe and secure. It's bolted in here with a crossbar, so this is what we've got here, and Josh has emulated the factory mount up here, but obviously much stronger material and a one-piece design, which is huge.
Oh yeah. I'd say the one-piece design is really the biggest aspect to this. That is going to go ahead and add a lot of structure to this because you're not going to have the failure points where all these other parts would bolt together. So it is substantially stronger, as well as some finer details that I won't get into that just add to the strength of it. But like Ryan mentioned, we do have this notch right here to maintain the factory bolt-on look of the roll cage. And moving forward, as you may have seen on the factory stuff, we do have these bungs right here. So we went ahead and followed the factory look to be able to use these factory grab handles. They bolt on just like that, all 4 corners, so we still have the nice streamlined look. Moving forward onto some of the smaller details up underneath the B pillar, which I'm sure Jason will get some nice beauty shots of once we flip this back over, are a few little mounting points for the factory dome light. Again, trying to retain the factory look for the customer. And then last but not least, we do have the seatbelt mounts on the B and C pillar, again in the factory locations. You will notice on the C pillar though, it's in the same-ish location, but a totally different style.
They also throw out there too, some people don't know this, the first pillar that goes across the front, your windshield, that's the A pillar. This is called the B pillar that goes right beside the driver and passenger front seats or just behind them.
Yep.
And then the C pillar is back here, so it's kind of...
Super simple. If you know your ABCs, you know your ABC pillars. We did keep the seatbelts in the same-ish location, but a totally different style due to the fact that we were trying to maintain this as a bolt-on unit along with the roof being bolt-on to be able to remove both of them separately. We did have to go ahead and do a little tweaking in the design of the C-pillar, so we did have to move the seat belts, but it is in the same style. You can see that this look right here specifically and back here is a little bit different from the factory. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the factory unit for you. All right, and here we go. We got the factory unit. As you can see, pretty big differences from here to here. First off, this part does come in straight, and I did go ahead and bend these. That way we could tuck this a little further up into the roof just to get a little more headroom, especially while getting in and out of the truck. We don't want anybody bonking heads. You can see that these parts do land a little bit lower in the bend than on here. Now, that is a smaller detail that most people might not notice, but with these landing in the center of the bend, that does make these bends stronger. At the center of your bend is going to be the weakest point because the material does stretch. So by landing these right in the center, it just gives it more rigidity. In the event of an accident or rollover, it's just adding to the safety factor of the truck. And same thing in the rear on the C-pillar, same idea.
So how is it? What do you think?
I love it. Looks great. Can't wait to drive it. Thank you.
Get out there.
All right.
Enjoy it.
So I'm out of here.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, and thank you very much, and we'll see you then.
All right, bud.
All right. Hasta la vista.
Yes, sir. Thing looks good, man. That thing looks good.
Hasta la vista.
Thank you for watching. Hit the subscription. Give us some input on this build. See what you think. Give some comments. Give Josh some props. The guys here all put together. The paint team, the fab team. Everyone did a bang-up job. Jason did a good job too. So, all right, guys. Take care.